Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Picture this for a moment. It's late January, the nights are still cold, the kettle's always on, and yet somewhere deep inside Rogers Center, the walls are whispering. They're whispering about trades, about unfinished business, about a Toronto Blue Jays team that refuses to sit still. That's where we begin today, because Blue Jays trade rumors are no longer gently knocking on the door, they're pacing the hallway like an impatient guest who knows something big is coming. And welcome back to the Blue Jays Report, where nothing stays quiet for long. Despite missing out on headline names like Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette, this has quietly been one of the more intriguing off-seasons the Blue Jays have had in years. Not flashy in every corner, not perfect by any stretch, but purposeful. Calculated. The kind of winter that feels like it's building towards something rather than collapsing into disappointment. And now, as spring training creeps closer and opening day tickets start calling your name like an old friend, the trade market has decided to wake up at just the right moment. Before we dive headfirst into the chaos, do me a quick favor. If you enjoy thoughtful Blue Jays coverage with a bit of drama, a bit of storytelling, and a lot of honesty, tap that like button, share this video with a fellow Jays fan, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report. The support genuinely keeps this whole thing alive, and you're all absolute legends for it. Now, let's talk about Ross Atkins, a man who does not fear the trade market. If anything, he welcomes it. Atkins has never been the type to panic buy at the deadline or freeze in the face of criticism. He waits, he watches, and then he strikes when the moment feels right. And with multiple reports now suggesting that a trade is the most realistic path for Toronto to upgrade this roster, the tension is beginning to rise. One rumor in particular has completely split the fan base down the middle, and honestly, I can see why. A recent trade pitch floating around proposes the Blue Jays acquiring left-handed reliever JoJo Romero and outfielder Lars Nootbaar from the St. Louis Cardinals. In return, Toronto would be sending Anthony Santander, Nathan Lukes, Bowden Francis, and pitching prospect Johnny King the other way. On paper, it looks bold. In reality, it's explosive. Let's be clear right out of the gate. I don't think this exact trade gets done. In fact, I'd be stunned if it did. You're talking about dealing Santander at arguably the lowest point of his value, shipping out Nathan Lukes, who still has utility and upside, and including a legitimate prospect in Johnny King. That's a hefty price, and one that doesn't quite sit right when you break it down slowly. But here's where it gets interesting. This rumor isn't important because of its accuracy. It's important because of what it reveals. It gives us a crystal clear look at the type of player the Blue Jays are targeting, and the type of gaps they're desperate to fill. Let's start with JoJo Romero, because he is the heartbeat of this entire conversation. Romero isn't flashy. He doesn't throw 101 miles an hour and he doesn't rack up viral highlights every week. What he does is far more valuable. He gets outs when it matters. A left-handed reliever with a 2.07 ERA last season, Romero has been living in high-leverage situations for years, and thriving in them. Over the last 2 seasons, he's piled up holds like a locksmith hoarding keys, and even chipped in with saves when asked. This is the kind of arm that shortens games. The kind of pitcher managers trust when the crowd is loud, the margin is thin, and one mistake can ruin your night. For a Blue Jays bullpen that still feels one piece away from being truly intimidating, Romero makes an absurd amount of sense. And then there's Lars Nootbaar, a name that sparks less confidence and more curiosity. Nootbaar had a rough year, there's no sugarcoating it. Injuries, inconsistency, and timing all conspired against him. But baseball has a funny way of rewarding patience, and the underlying tools are still there. He plays with energy, he grinds out at-bats, and on the right team, in the right role, he can absolutely bounce back. The Cardinals' angle here matters as well, because St. Louis are clearly open for business. They're selling, reshaping, and listening to offers. And when a team like that starts loosening its grip, Ross Atkins tends to lean forward in his chair. Now, here's where I draw my line in the sand. Anthony Santander should not be part of this deal. Not now. Not like this. Yes, last season was rough. Injuries took their toll, timing vanished, and the numbers suffered. But selling Santander now is like selling your house in the middle of a storm. You know there's more value there if you just wait for the sky to clear. Nathan Lukes, on the other hand, is more expendable. He's projected to start fewer than 30 games in left field, is part of an outfield logjam, and while useful, is replaceable. If a deal can be structured around Lukes, a couple of solid prospects, and creative roster maneuvering, then suddenly the conversation changes completely. Because when you look at the current bullpen, the need becomes painfully obvious. Jeff Hoffman, Jimmy Garcia, Tyler Rogers, all solid pieces, all capable. But one more dependable, battle-tested arm turns a good bullpen into a weapon. Romero doesn't need to overpower hitters. He just needs to do what is always done. Execute. And if you compare that bullpen upgrade with an outfielder who still has something to prove, you're addressing two problems with one swing. Even if Nootbaar isn't the headliner, he becomes part of a broader solution. As always, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me where you stand. Would you move Nathan Lukes for JoJo Romero? Would you touch Santander at all? This fanbase is split, and the debate is half the fun. Zooming out for a moment, the wider picture of the AL East makes all of this feel even more urgent. Projected WAR numbers show just how brutal this division has become. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, they're all stacked, all close, all dangerous. There is no room for complacency. The Blue Jays cannot afford to tread water while everyone else sharpens their knives. That's why I genuinely believe one more move is coming. Whether it's a bat, a bullpen arm, or ideally both, this roster feels like it's on the brink of something significant. And there's more. Former Blue Jay Whit Merrifield recently revealed that Kyle Tucker genuinely wanted to play in Toronto. Let that sink in. He wanted the city, the fans, the vision. But in the end, the money in Los Angeles was simply too big to ignore. 10 years, massive figures, generational wealth. You can't blame him. It stings, yes, but it also confirms that Toronto is a destination players want to choose. We also saw former Blue Jay Sir Anthony Dominguez sign a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Chicago White Sox. That's a contract I wouldn't have hated seeing in Toronto colors, but reports suggest he was leaning towards shorter-term flexibility. Another reminder that the market is unpredictable, and timing is everything. As we wrap this up, here's the takeaway. The Blue Jays are not done. Not even close. The rumors, the whispers, the late-night speculation, it all points to one thing. This front office is still working, still searching, still plotting. So stay locked in with the Blue Jays report, because the moment something breaks, we'll be right here breaking it down with you. If you enjoyed this deep dive, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And no matter how wild the rumors get, one thing's for certain. This off-season still has a few chapters left to write.